I'm Jackie, and this is the Midlife Guide Hamilton Edit. This is where I explore the people, places, and ideas that are helping women navigate midlife in my new city, Hamilton, Ontario. My goal isn't to tell you what to buy or what to believe, it's to ask the questions that I would personally want the answers to. I want to separate the hype from helpful information and introduce you to the people and ideas that are shaping midlife in our community. So today I'm visiting Isabella at Golden Tallow to talk about one of the biggest skincare trends on social media, tallow. And if you don't know what it is, you might be surprised like I was.
I'm Isabella Fabrizio, and we are here in Mount Hope, Ontario, in my home, where we make Golden Tallow. And Golden Tallow, I'm the founder and the owner with my husband. We're a small little family business here. And we started, I want to say, probably officially 3 years ago, but like licensed for 2. So we make tallow for cooking, which is primarily how it started. And everybody was asking for if they could put on their face. So then I started whipping it and making it a beautiful moisturizer for applying on the skin. So it is grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised from regenerative farms fat that I start with. And that is literally the only ingredient other than a tiny bit of extra virgin olive oil for the skin tallow. But one ingredient for replacing the seed oils in your diet, ideally. Things like canola and vegetable oils are extremely carcinogenic and not healthy for our bodies. And this is how our ancestors cooked. And in fact, until the 90s, even McDonald's deep fried their French fries in tallow until animal fat got demonized and we all kind of went the seed oil route. And here we are today, all sick and inflamed. So that was kind of my reasoning for getting into the tallow. And once I started, it was kind of a downhill slope in a good direction. So it may sound weird to put beef fat on your face, but it is absolutely the best moisturizer you'll ever use. I like to say it's the last one you'll ever buy. It is extremely hydrating and moisturizing. It is bioidentical to our skin. So what that means is our skin recognizes it. It's almost identical to what our skin naturally produces, the sebum of our skin. So it's not going to feel like a moisturizer that sits on your skin. Your skin's actually, it's going to feel like your skin. So your skin just really sucks it in and just really takes it in beautifully. It doesn't clog your pores, which is a misconception about tallow because it's fat. I don't know if you've ever heard of oil cleansing. When they cleanse with a fat, usually with something like a coconut oil, because fat attracts fat. So it actually helps remove the dirt or the bacteria as opposed to clogging. It's full of vitamins, very high in A, D, E, and K. Did I remember that? Yeah. And very high in essential fatty acids. So it's skincare you can eat. It's essentially food, which is very important to me. I teach for the last 10 years, I've been teaching women how to be more natural and mindful of what they are either putting into their bodies or on their bodies or inhaling. So this really aligned for me because I like to say if you can't eat your skincare, you have a problem. It's all going into your bloodstream within 30 seconds. So if you can't eat it, then you don't want to put it on your skin either. This you could eat. So what are women struggling with when it comes to skin in the later years? More mature skin, I like to say. What I get asked about all the time is obviously with hormones changing and just kind of, older skin starts to get a little bit more dry, less pliable. So collagen isn't producing as much, which skin, I love to teach people you address really from the inside out. Skin is an inside job, I like to say. It's a lot of what you are eating, which the cooking tallow actually helps with. So I help a lot of people with skin issues. Any sort of skin conditions like dry skin, eczema, psoriasis, rosacea is very popular. Those are some of my best customers because they're extra sensitive to what they're putting on their skin. So the less ingredients and the more natural the ingredients, the better. As far as older skin, because the tallow is so hydrating and moisturizing, it almost feels anti-aging because it really smooths out those lines and any redness in the skin with use. Like I constantly get complimented on my skin, which is crazy because I am notoriously a problem skin kind of a girl. I just grew up with just always having terrible skin. But when I addressed my gut health and started removing the product and using very natural things, my skin just really improved to such a degree that now people ask me, oh my gosh, your skin looks so great. It's like I wash with water and I put on tallow and I try to avoid, processed food. So the less is more and the more natural, the better. But yes, very hydrating and moisturizing. When you put it on, you just really feel like almost like you have an irrigation system in your skin is kind of how I explain it. Because I wake up in the morning and I still feel it. And it doesn't feel, it's not like a greasiness. It's just like supple. I have a lot of people approach me. We are at the Hamilton Farmers Market most weekends. So I have a lot of ladies who are hesitant to try tallow because they're concerned of what may happen on their skin. But that always makes me pause and I kind of giggle because I think like, are you wondering what's in those store-bought products or those expensive products that you buy at the mall that are full of toxic ingredients and fragrance and endocrine disrupting chemicals, especially as women? I think the statistic is you put on more than 500 chemicals a day as the average woman, from the things we put in our hair to the things we put on our skin and so on. I giggle, but then I'm like, at one point I didn't know either. But this is like food for the skin. It is essentially so safe you could eat it. You could put this on your baby. You could put it on any age group. We even use it on our pets. On our puppy, he gets ashy elbows, and I put the tallow on him. So very, very, very safe. So a lot of women will have struggled with skin issues and will be very hesitant to try. I find when people try our tallow, they just absolutely love it. And then they're like best customers ever. Especially the worse their skin, the more they love it. But it's absolutely for all skin types. I have part of my skin story is in my early 20s when I was getting ready to get married. As I mentioned, I had very terrible skin and I just wanted to have pretty nice skin for my wedding. And I was recommended by a dermatologist a very strong medication I'm sure most people would be familiar with. You could not even get pregnant on this medication because it was like, causing deformities. So now looking back, it's like, what was I thinking? But I did what my doctor told me to. And not only did my skin not get better, I'd say it got worse over time. So, and here's this natural product that's like beef fat. It just had such a great impact on my skin. And I won't say it was tallow, like only tallow, but as I really worked on my gut health and what I was actually putting inside my body, all I needed was the tallow to really elevate the look and the feel of my skin. We do have people approach us who are vegetarian. Most of them are open to using it topically on their skin. There's going to be those people who are absolutely not, and that's fine. But I will say that when we explain how we source our tallow, we work only with regenerative farms in Ontario, grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised. And in fact, the first farm I was working with, they weren't even using the part of the fat that I'm looking for. So I should mention, we only use suet. There's lots of fat in a cow, and you can make tallow out of all of it. But suet is about 5% of that fat is the fat that forms around the kidneys. It protects the organs. So it's a functional fat, very dense in texture, but also very densely nutritious and very low aroma, very less greasy than all the other tallow. Because if you've ever tried tallow, it can feel a little bit greasy because it is fat. But the suet, because it's so dense and hard, when I whip it, it just really absorbs without feeling greasy. So I'm only interested in that suet. And as you can imagine, it's not easy to source only suet from regenerative farms in Ontario, grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised. So it is a challenge. But when we are sourcing that fat, it was before going to waste. So they weren't using it. They were just throwing it out. So they really appreciate that it is being used, because a lot of vegetarians, it's for ethical reasons. So they like that. So I do have vegetarians who do use tallow and they love it. So tallow's become a hot thing. It's funny, people say it's the new thing, but I like to say it's the old thing coming back, because it's just how we've always used tallow. That's how our ancestors ate and took care of their skin, but it's now kind of making a comeback. A lot more people are interested in less ingredients and cleaner products and more natural ways to take care of their skin. So a lot of companies that are making tallow are making claims of grass-fed. But unless those cows are grass-finished and pasture-raised, it doesn't really mean much, because you could just dump some grass in and call it grass-fed. But what you're looking for is pasture raised, because that means those cows are out in the pasture. They're just eating grass. They're not being fed anything above that, which makes the most beautiful and healthiest tallow. I've definitely noticed a trend of women looking for more natural options. Even with myself, this is how this started. I was looking for something that I could make that was super clean, that I could use it with my family, that I could feel good about that. For myself, I do teach women about natural health, so I'm very aware of the toxic load on our bodies. And of course, over time, that gets more and more. So the older we get, the more I think we're paying attention to how our bodies are talking to us. And very often that's through our skin. So I was looking for ways to moisturize, to hydrate, for more elasticity in my skin. And I think over time, as we use all the other stuff and it's not really making much of a difference, if anything, making things worse, you kind of end up at tallow like, all right, fine, I'll try your beef fat. So many people are so funny about it at first, but then when they try it, they just can't deny it. It doesn't have to be full of ingredients to be effective. And I think as we get older, we understand less is more, kind of that lesson. And by experience, like when it's not really making an impact, then you're looking for other things, right? I was never interested in anti-aging, whether that's surgical or, I don't wear a lot of makeup. I use my tallow and that's it. So I am 52. I love being 52. I'm not trying to be 30. I love the lines in my face. I feel very much of shows the life I've lived. But of course, you want your skin to feel nice. I do feel the texture has changed of my skin and I love that. And it's about aging gracefully, I feel, and just embracing the age that you're at, but still, giving your skin that love that it really wants. The tallow really, really does that for me. If somebody was looking for tallow, this is the things I would tell them to look for. So you definitely want to make sure the fat that they are starting with is a high quality fat, which means it is from grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised cows that are only eating grass. The other thing is you want to make sure, if you want high quality tallow, is that they are using suet only. A lot of places will say they use suet, but they use suet with all the other fat. And suet is like 5% of all the other fat. 100% suet is going to be the most beautiful tallow for sure. When we render our tallow, the other important thing is we do not add anything and we don't remove. Many places today will render with water. And the claim is that it removes a lot of the bacteria and the impurities. But what ends up happening is they cook it over and over and over. So they're destroying a lot of the properties of the tallow, but also introducing water, which can introduce mold and bacteria. So ideally, you want a tallow that is dry rendered, which is how we do it. We only use heat. So we don't add any water. We don't add salt. That's another thing other people add, is because the salt will pull out the impurities, but it'll also pull out the good stuff too. Nature created it perfectly. All we're doing is melting it, putting it through some filters just to catch anything that might still be there, and putting it in jars or whipping it into skin tallow. So you want it as natural as possible. We don't add anything other than what the tallow is to begin with. I've been using the tallow for about 3 years and selling it for just over 2. I have not heard anyone have any adverse reaction. People may like it more than others, and I think that's sometimes a mental thing because it is beef fat. Some people just really have a hard time getting over that, or even the aroma. So I do add essential oils into mine. They're only doTERRA essential oils that I use, which are edible. Because like I mentioned, if you can't eat it, don't put on your skin either. So when I started making tallow, I thought, well, of course I'm going to put frankincense in my tallow for even more benefits, but to also help with the aroma. So I do have an unscented, and the other 3 I have beautiful essential oils that I add. Like this is frankincense and blue tansy, which actually turns it a little bit blue. That's a fan favorite. This is probably our top seller, which is the frankincense lavender geranium. And you can see how smooth it is, by the way. Tallow will fluctuate with temperature because we don't add any emulsifiers or anything to kind of mess with that. It will get softer when it's warm out. It will get a little firmer when it's cold. But as soon as you put it on your skin, it just melts right in. And then we have one that's lavender, frankincense, lavender, myrrh. So they smell beautiful, just enough to hide that beefy aroma. Although because we use the suet, there's almost no aroma. But they also add even more benefits than just the tallow. Tallow on its own has about an SPF of 15, because I get that question a lot too, is if we make a sun cream. The tallow does have an SPF 15. We are going to be working on something where we add a little bit more zinc oxide and a couple other oils like carrot seed, which has some sun protection as well. But you can definitely feel good about using it in the sun as well. It's for all of it. I like to say face first because it's amazing on your face, but you can put it on your elbow, you can put it on your knee. It's absolutely one for everything. And if someone's trying to sell you tallow that is for, one for the face, one for this, and one for that, that's just a gimmick. Because if it's pure good quality tallow, you can absolutely use it on your entire body. So you're replacing a lot of different products with just good quality tallow. And the only reason I actually make a lip balm is just for convenience, so you can have it in your purse, because you can absolutely just put this on your lips as well. At skincare and beauty is an inside job. What you put in and is what you get out. And I like to ask people, can you eat your skincare? Because if you can't, you have a problem. It is in your bloodstream in 30 seconds. So you better hope you can eat it, and you can definitely eat golden tallow.
One thing I've learned is that our skin changes in midlife, whether we like it or not. And there isn't one product that's right for everyone, but understanding what's happening beneath the surface can make it much easier to decide what's worth trying and what's simply clever marketing. Leave a comment below, and if you found this conversation helpful, follow She 2.0 for more evidence based conversations that help make midlife a little less confusing.